his load with a grunt and straightened, following Drostan's line of sight. "Is that a cat?" "More like a kitten," Drostan said, watching the small creature climb the sail line as if safety might be found in the sky. The creature was too high now for it to jump without injury or death. A lad stood below, hand pinning his cap to his head as he looked up. He beckoned to the kitten, but the scared creature wasn't listening. Drostan jogged off the beast toward the predicament. The ship belonged to one of the traders from up north, stopping at Mull to buy supplies before Tor could take them to the mainland. Several rough-looking men toward portside watched the scene, but they seemed more interested in the lad than the kitten.
"Bloody bollocks," the lad said,
head tilted back.
"Come down now. We need to go see you."
Judging from the lad's higher voice and slight frame, he must be under 4 and 10 in age, and from the look of it, without a guardian. The captain of the vessel stood toward the stern, his gaze sliding along the dockside. He was stout, round in the gut, and bearded.
"Blasted cat," the lad called. "Are you attempting to climb to heaven?"
From the dock, Drostan called to the boy. "Your kitten isn't cooperating." The lad spun around, his hands still intent on keeping his bulbous cap from tumbling off. A tendril of long brown hair escaped like a snake, landing on his shoulder. Drostan's inhale paused. Despite the mud haphazardly smudged across the boy's face and the masculine clothing, there was no doubt in Drostan's mind that this wasn't a lad at all, but a lass. In male form, she looked scrawny and young. As a female, she looked to be in her 20s. He walked closer, using the sunlight shining on her face to his full advantage. Her wide brown eyes were framed by lashes, and light freckles lay scattered across smooth skin.
"No, she's not cooperating,"
the lass said with a ridiculously deeper voice. She grimaced as if realizing how poor her masquerade sounded and turned back to the cat. Drostan felt the corners of his frown turn upward at the bad performance. No wonder the men on board were staring. With high cheekbones, a straight nose, nicely arched brows, and a full mouth, the lass was too beautiful for mud and lad's clothes to hide her. "Well, now," Callum began, his brows high as he inspected the woman, but Drostan elbowed him. "The lad needs our help," Drostan said, "and the crew isn't inclined." The woman ignored him, and Drostan climbed the plank leading onto the ship. The crew watched, as did the captain, but they didn't approach. Perhaps that was because Drostan and Callum carried swords, or perhaps because Tor MacLeod, chief of Aros Castle and Clan MacLeod, was walking along inspecting the ships. His fierce warrior, Keir McKinnon, followed, making everyone hurry out of their path. Drostan stopped by the woman. "The kitten is yours." She glanced at him.
"I found her on board. No one claims her, and she'll die if I leave her."
Her arched brows pinched tightly together.
"If that makes her mine, then yes. She belongs to me."
She glanced at the curious crew.
"And I wouldn't leave her with these fiends anyway."
"Climb on up, brother," Callum called from the dock, waving his arm at the dangling ropes. Drostan snorted. "I'll make the wee beastie climb higher." Callum tipped his head back, hands propped on his hips. "It'll run out of line." "So will I," Drostan said, but he was already removing his sword. Luckily, he wore his work boots with ridges cut into the thick hide, making up the hammered sole. "A rescue is underway?" Tor asked, walking up to the scene. "Aye," Callum said, walking up the plank to the ship's deck. Tor and Keir came aboard to talk with the captain while Drostan grabbed the thick rope. He'd climbed ropes on Tor's ship and Beck's ship before it burned at sea, while battling the dastardly pirate Claude Jardot. The trick was to use the legs and feet as much as the hands and arms. He wore only a tunic and plaid wrapped around his hips with nothing beneath. Should he warn the woman? He wouldn't warn a lad, so he didn't say anything. Making a loop with one foot and shoving it down, he repeated it with the other foot, so he looked like he climbed a set of stairs. 8 feet up, he heard a small gasp from the lass, who must have noticed the view up his wrap, but he kept climbing until he reached the kitten.
"Meow!"
The wee thing was a mix of fury and fear, not knowing where to go and if to trust him. "You can choose life or death," Drostan said, reaching for the cat as it clung to the mast arms stretching out over the deck. With another meow and grey eyes wide with terror, the cat lunged for him. Its needle-like claws pierced through his sleeve to the skin underneath. The beastie scampered up his arm to his shoulder, surely leaving pockmarks.